I remember sitting down at a big, long board table at Mercury Records, and we had only sold 1.5 million records on the first 2 singles, and I'm quoting them. And they said that there was this new wave of stuff coming, and they were gonna kind of just take it easy on this record, and they weren't going to release another single, and we were kind of like, you're kidding, right?
And I believe we're at that point right now when you get this kind of dinosaur music mentality going on, where everybody looks the same, everybody sounds the same, and we're getting into that again, which is everything that punk rebelled against in the 70s. I think it's time for a revolution, a musical revolution of some sort. Someone's got to do something original here.
I didn't like it. I still don't like it. I never understood about singing about how up your life is when everybody knows their lives are up. The next generation was more about, teen angst and, I hate my parents, rather than let's go out and have some fun and chicks.
I welcomed that with the biggest open arms on the planet. I was like, yes, somebody's stirring it up. Everything just sounding the same. And I love it when someone throws a fucking grenade into the mix and goes, no, we're going this way. And dude, I love that. And then, then Soundgarden.
I don't mean this in a bad way. You take Cobain, some of those bands were, that era of music was really depressing, but some of those guys were, and obviously by his death, were really depressed. They weren't faking that depression.
Right,
the depression was deep, and it's a shame because he had great music. But here's the thing, a lot of that era completely died too. It just didn't get as beat up as our era.
Yeah.
If you're going to live big, meaning if you're going to live excessive, you also got to remember you're going to take that beating when it comes down. The one thing we did when the whole music changed, right, or what was happening then, changed a bit. Our band never went in and said we hated what we did. And the mistake the bands of the 80s made, a lot of them, every one of them was like, oh, I was never in that band. And that's a diss to the fans.
In 1992, when we released Adrenalize, grunge was starting to make an impact. All that kind of LA glam metal thing was going away. And all of a sudden there was kids that looked like they just got out of bed. We went into the studio to start working on Slang middle of 1994. That's when we knew that musical landscape had completely turned upside down. I turned up with a cassette that I'd made of 90 minutes of the songs that I thought we should listen to either embrace or avoid, but we should be aware of. And I remember Black Hole Sun being part of that, and Alice in Chains and some of the Nirvana stuff.
There's a lot of bands went up the ladder, got famous, and then the 80s kind of peaked out, and everybody's done with the hair, and they started going down the ladder, and the record sales were dropping off, and they broke up.
They've become just a bunch of happy metal formula bands out there smiling and grinning and shaking their asses. There was definitely a disenfranchised audience who wanted that anger, wanted that frustration, and wanted that edge.
The downside was watching everybody from the 80s just go, that sucked. That fucking sucked. It was hard to accept and see. If I would go up to Hollywood, I lived in Redondo Beach. If I would go up, I would run into guys from Whitesnake or guys from Motley or guys from this band and this and that. All these multi-platinum bands, everybody's like, fuck, dude, what, can you believe it? And I'm like, I can't even go out anymore. I can't hear this. You know what I mean? It was humbling at best or at worst, depending on how you look at it,